back to Moon Fork. We are actually playing today, which is going to be exciting. And before we get started with our first mystery arc, we're going to have our characters do each of their pre-mystery rolls. Remember, if you fail on these, you do gain experience. But hopefully we don't, and we get some information. So we'll start with Mystic Mikey, and the move is the man with the plan. So at the beginning of each mystery, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, hold 2. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. Spend the hold to be where you need to be, prepared and ready. On a miss, the keeper holds 1, and they can spend that to put you in the worst place, unprepared and unready. So this is a high stakes one. And if there's something that's happening at the beginning, like a little preamble, kind of prelude, prologue, I should say, I will give Tommy the ability to be like, hey, do you want to spend this hold right away if it's a success? And Mystic Mikey can be in the prologue, which is exciting. So go ahead and roll them bones.
Ooh, I got... So it's my 2d6 plus my sharp modifier, right? So I think it's just exactly. I got an 8. So I think I think I get a +1, right?
Yeah, you get to hold 1, and that hold represents you basically saying you get to spend it to be where you need to be, prepared and ready. So whatever that means for you. There is a prologue to this one, so I will give you the option to spend the hold before getting into that, but have a think on if you want to spend it right away or if you want to use it later on in the arc, because you probably this arc's going to be at least a number of episodes, so you only get one of these. All right, for Lark, Lark's move is connect the dots. At the beginning of each mystery, if you look for wider patterns that current events might be a part of, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. And then you spend your hold during the mystery to ask me any one of the following questions. Is this person connected to current events more than they are saying? When and where will the next critical event occur? What does the monster want from this person? Is this connected to previous mysteries we have investigated, which won't be relevant for this first arc? And how does this mystery connect to the bigger picture? So go ahead and roll those 2d6.
All right. Got a 4 plus 2, so
4 plus 2. Okay, it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
So
maybe nothing happens.
I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, let's go. Nothing happens for now. As we go forward, I might start kind of just homebrewing in like I hold 1 and get to take a hard move against you at some point during the arc, because that's what a lot of these have. But since this one is kind of less like giving you an advantage and more like you thinking about an overarching scenario, I don't think that will really apply here anyway. So maybe a complete fail is a premonition from the narrative gods, and they're saying this is what would happen in real life. Lark wouldn't know what the hell is going on. And for Clinton Brooks, Mr. Clinton Brooks, Esquire, we have premonitions. At the start of each mystery, roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. You take +1 forward to prevent it coming true, and mark experience if you stop it. On a 7 to 9 plus, you get clouded images of something bad that is yet to happen. Mark experience if you stop it. And then on a miss, you get a vision of something bad happening to you. And I hold 3 to be spent 1 for 1 as penalties to rolls you make, which is particularly tough. But this is kind of a feast or famine type of roll, because you get a major boon even if you get a mixed success. But on a fail, it can get pretty rough, because you could like get a 7 and I could be like, no, that's -1 to a 6. 3 times I could do that. So go ahead and roll.
Good, I'm rolling with +2 weird, and I rolled an 8 +2 for a 10.
Ooh, a 10, complete success. So on a 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. All right, let's say it's an early autumn day. Clinton, what do you kind of do midday if you're not on one of your rare chore runs?
Let's see, midday, I'm probably just walking around the woods, to be honest. I'm kind of pacing I am a little bit manic right now. I'll kind of try to pace it out, I think.
Reflective mania. That's a tough spot to be. You're walking around the woods. On a 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. And that something is in front of you. You are kind of walking around, let's say, looking, listening to the birds. I'm not sure if they're the loons that Lark studies, or maybe something like a Stellar's jay. And you somehow hear this Stellar's jay. It's kind of cawing turn into words, English. You can understand it. And this is kind of less of a vision and more of a detailed description. And you hear in the Stellar's J's words that almost split your mind and kind of make you wonder if this is real or not, make you wonder if you are kind of tipping over a little bit into the mania that you were describing. You hear, caw, caw, teenagers murdered, outside the woods tonight near the ranger station. And that's what you hear. And for knowing kind of this detailed vision of something that is yet to happen, do you think I'm going to kind of give you the choice, just like I'm going to give Mystic Mikey? Since you know when and where this kind of event is going to happen, do you think that Clint would, or sorry, I should say Mr. Clinton Brooks, do you think Mr. Clinton Brooks would act on this information? Would he just kind of let it torture him? Would he think it's kind of bullshit? Where would he be at?
I would act on it. I think a sign like this from a Stellar J for me is a big sign that I got to be there tonight by the ranger station.
Okay, and then outside of that, a little dramatic irony moment. Mystic Mikey, are you going to spend the hold for the prologue, or are you going to wait and hold on to it? I'm also I'm okay since we all just heard what's going on if there's just one person at it, but if y'all want to meet at the kind of event, that could be interesting too. So where do you think you land on that, having the hold one?
I think I'm going to hang on to it.
Moonfork has always been kind to people who go out late at night. Its billowing pines and wood-paneled structures bear the moonlight gracefully, providing all the cover one could need for a lover's rendezvous. Knowing this, two figures skirt along the town limits, flirting with the boundary of Beek's Lamp State Forest. Their hushed yet excited tones mingle with the sounds of raccoons, owls, and what they don't know to be the crunching footsteps in the woods just outside of where they're meeting, those belonging to Clinton Brooks. The taller of the two figures pulls the other in for a kiss beneath the place where the couple carved their initials when they started dating 3 months ago, at the beginning of summer break. A heart scarred upon the heartwood of a massive Douglas fir encloses the initials AA and KS. Clinton, you see these two dark figures embracing near this tree, just outside kind of the boundary of the forest, which I imagine is where you're standing out of view. Do you do anything kind of to break up what they're doing, or do you kind of just watch?
Yeah, well, I would say in general, I don't have a super high opinion of kids, and I think that this sort of young revelry, especially given what I've heard earlier, is not going to be able to continue. So I think that I'm going to go kind of start approaching the couple and make sure that I'm seen by them. And I'm looking weird. I'm looking ominous. I kind of approach like, yeah, let's see. Hey, kids. I don't know.
One of the taller one of the two kind of like turns around like very startled and goes like, "What do you want? Who are you? What the hell?"
This is not a good night to be out here, kids.
Oh my god! Come on, Carl. This guy, he's not good news. And they kind of disperse, and you are left in the darkness of the woods, just outside the Beaks Lamp State Forest, a place where you've gone on your walks, you have experienced it in night and day. And you are left there in the darkness, knowing that a threat could be upon you at any time. Do you stick around? Do you walk back home? What do you do?
I think I pause for a moment and kind of take in my surroundings. I definitely know that I'm at risk. And kind of as I sit there and kind of take in my surroundings, I think my kind of anxiety and kind of mania starts to kind of like grow in me a little bit. And kind of like as kind of nothing happens for a couple seconds, I'm going to kind of start kind of looking around quickly, nervously, and then kind of start to pace back towards the way I came.
Yeah, you pace back toward your cabin, which is a bit north of where we are now, and you see the lights from town. There's only a few lights. It's not a happening place per se, but a few lights from town kind of float into view, and oddly enough, you kind of see them start to form a bit of a face, and then it dissipates, and you kind of shake it off. The face was kind of what I would imagine to be like not a jack-o'-lantern, but kind of like almost if you imagine a jack-o'-lantern face in light, like a fire kind of like flaming and swirling around. But it dissipates as soon as it arrived. But its kind of haunting smile stays with you as you pace back home. And you kind of fade out of the camera angle, for lack of a better view. And we see, after you have left, a large hulking figure in a cloak unhinge and rehinge its jaw almost lustily, as if it thought it had a good thing going here for a second. But Clinton Brooks has foiled it this time, and it stalks back into the woods. As I said, it's September, and we are moving into the next day. The morning, it is cold, and rain is falling on Moon Fork. It hits in a halting pattern, drenching the town and its inhabitants, and signaling, unfortunately, for all Washington residents, the death of summer. We zoom in from a raindrops view above the scene of townsfolk clad in darkened hues, standing atop Memorial Hill, which is home to Moon Fork's only cemetery. The two adjoining raised plateaus of land have no names themselves, but together the three hills make up a strange formation called the Swales that has marked the center of town as long as anyone can remember. Leo Lark, who the townsfolk know as Lark, has just finished giving a eulogy, and he somehow looks stronger than ever there at the head of the crowd of mourners, rain-drenched and with his hair pulled up into a plain bun. Maxwell With, Memorial Hill's undertaker and sexton, begins to shovel dirt upon the coffin of Lark's mother, Paige, who finally passed on after struggling with a weak heart for years on end. She was 93. Her coffin is built of strong-willed cedar, which seems to repel the rain. The crowd cries and casts their eyes to the ground as they stand up to leave, marching to the hollow yet rhythmic drumming of soil upon wood. A mother should never have to see her kin move on before her, mutters With in a somewhat sing-song voice while he works. The undertaker is referring to Leo's sister, Kate, who had died a couple of years ago. At least now, Lark thinks, the two can rest together. The group gathered to celebrate Paige's memory is no more than 20 strong, but for Moon Fork, that number is good enough to call a crowd. Paige was a force for good as long as she lived. Born and raised in Moon Fork, she was just about as strong-willed as they come. In fact, when Dr. Kit Chetty discovered she had heart failure back in '83, the doctor predicted that Paige only had 1 or 2 years yet to live. Of course, 13 years later, Moon Fork has lost its favorite pie maker. Paige used to own and run Valentine's Diner in town before passing it along to Lark's childhood best friend, Sandy. But until the day she died, Paige made the pies that went into the eatery's display, just as she had done for most of her life. Ona Fellow and her friend, Ranger Anchorage Nguyen, stand up to wish their condolences to Leo and Sandy before trudging down the hill. They still call Lark Leo because that's how they knew him when he was a boy before he left to do his research in Lake Placid and other areas on the East Coast. And now he's back in town semi-regularly. Behind them is Ramon Sandia from the Percolator Museum just outside of town. He took over curation of the museum after Lark's sister Kate died. Kate was the one who kind of had the idea for the Percolator Museum, was always into weird coffee paraphernalia, and Moonfork is the kind of place where you can have a museum about just anything and have it stay above ground through that sheer force of will I mentioned. The sheriff, Bill Dent, stands behind most folks. His eyes are off on the horizon, watching a newcomer to town climb up and down the other two hills that make up the swales. The man wears a heavy green trench coat and is carrying one of those all-metal briefcases. Every so often, he bends down to take a sample of dirt or speak into a handheld recording device. And the scuttlebutt is that he is from the U.S. Geological Service. Mystic Mikey and Clinton Brooks, are either of you at this funeral, do you think? The funeral for Paige Lark.
I want to say Mystic Mikey was maybe heading downtown to do some like carnival barking and like distribute some paraphernalia, and sort of happened upon it and decided that maybe that would be a little bit uncouth to start publicly yelling about aliens during a funeral.
That makes sense. Do you think he stayed to kind of pay his respects?
Yeah, I think he's kind of watching from afar, kind of waiting for the crowd to disperse.
I gotcha. And what about Clinton?
Yeah, that was going to be kind of my answer too. Is I think I was downtown for an errand, but I'm like in classic Clinton form. I'm kind of like afar watching. People have noticed I'm there, but don't really want to think about it. But I'm there.
That makes sense. A few of the mourners look on and kind of see your bedraggled figure in the distance, looking on, kind of staring up at Memorial Hill with, a poignant look. A lot of people see that when they look at you, I think, Clinton. Someone who, a true outsider who at one point, was this, at least whose family was at the center of everything. And a few of them whisper about how Paige Lark played a large role behind the scenes, it is said, in starting the cannery with the Brooks family all those years ago. And so they're whispering. You hear kind of like someone lean over to the sheriff, or you don't hear it, Clinton, but maybe you notice it, Lark. Someone lean over to the sheriff and whisper something along the lines of like, and he doesn't even want to pay his respects. And that kind of gives a good idea of how people are perceiving you. And let's see, Lark, you notice that the crowd is dispersing. And what kind of are you doing? How are you feeling? You just buried your mother.
I think I'm feeling empathy for not just myself, but everyone else who's in the crowd. I do notice both Mikey and Clinton. Earlier, we talked about how I probably didn't know Clinton, but at the same time, if my mom helped possibly start the cannery, I think I do. And I think I know Mikey, but we don't have a personal relationship. So when I see Clinton, I'm thinking like, I'm glad he's here to see this, and I'm glad that he's not necessarily causing a scene, because sometimes he does do that. And then for a split second, my eyes caught on Mikey, and I'm worried that he's going to say something to kind of not spoil the moment, but take away from, what my mom kind of made and her image in this town. So I'm a little bit worried at the same time, but I'm mostly focused on, thinking about my family and who they were, not who they are. And I'm also a little bit sad because I don't know how confident I am that they are together. You know what I mean? Like, ideally, if there was an afterlife, I'd be content. But at the same time, I'm still just questioning even the thought of that. So I'm just happy
Totally.
she's no longer suffering.
What was your relationship with your mom like? Do you think, did she approve of you going out and pursuing that dream of studying the birds? Was she wanting you to stay in town and take care of things a little bit more? Where do you think your relationship
Yeah,
lied?
I think it's kind of I do have like a reverence, but at the same time, like her life, her figure was very much centered around Moonfork, and you know, my worldview is it's just a grain of sand in a bigger beach. So I think like I wanted to move past that, and I don't feel bad for her, but I kind of feel like it's unfortunate that the rest of the world didn't get to see her, and her most of her experience was kind of contained here, like a lot of other things.
They definitely feel the same way. The townsfolk do. Ranger Nguyen and Ona Fellow walk up to you, pay their respects, and begin walking down the hill, as does the sheriff and the rest of the mourners. And you are kind of left alone atop this hill as Mr. With finishes doing his work, and eventually you descend the stairs as well. Mystic Mikey, what was on your flyers today? What were you going to be yelling about in the town square?
There's just like a big bold lettered headline that just says like aliens real question mark and like a bunch of purported information about various alien sightings that have happened in the vicinity uh, in the last few days. There's also like a very sort of um, uh, rough drawing of a UFO with like a tractor beam coming out of it. And I was just
Amazing.
gonna like be just like screaming like, "Are UFOs real? Find out now! What are they hiding from us?"
With this UFO activity, do you run your yelling business? I guess I don't have a better word for it. Do you yell every day, every other day? What's kind of the cadence? When are you going out and leaving the ham radio stuff behind to spread the good word?
I mean, Mikey's still kind of trying to figure out how to monetize this whole thing. It's not
Totally.
really. He hasn't really figured out like the business hook. Um, Sort of just living off beans and rice, whatever meager savings that he's got. He doesn't really have a schedule. I wouldn't say, just kind of whenever the whim catches him. But maybe once a week or so, not too often.
That sounds about right. Maybe he'll head out tomorrow when there's not a funeral. They don't happen
Yeah.
often on Memorial Hill because a lot of the plots are reserved for folks like Paige Lark who have been in the town a while, and there just aren't that many people in Moon Fork who have that kind of pull from the old days, especially since the Brooks family went missing. Do you all run into each other, or are you kind of on opposite sides, Mystic Mikey and Clinton?
I think Mystic Mikey maybe sees that the funeral is winding down and uh, approaches Lark and just asks him like if they're going to be done soon. He goes up to him and goes, "Are you guys kind of wrapping up here, or what does the next little bit look like for you guys? I'm trying to do my thing. You probably know who I am."
People are clearing out, but like, can you give it a few?
Like a few, as in like a few minutes, or like an hour. Like what are we talking here?
Thank you for coming to pay respects, but I think the rest of the town has a little bit more space for you than I do at the moment. So I'd like a little bit of space, sir. Appreciate it, and try to spice it up. It's a little bit on the nose, a little bit played out.
Uh,
I don't know what you mean, man, but I'm not trying to start anything, so I guess I kind of just slowly skulk away, but look very I'm very obviously disappointed.
Everybody's skulking. Lark skulks back to Valentine's, where Sandy Dunn is hosting the wake. And Mystic Mikey skulks back to his basement apartment. I assume Clinton skulks potentially back to his remote cabin. We're not even 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in, and everybody's skulking. That's a good place to be. Clinton, Mr. Clinton Brooks, you get back to your house, your home. Let's describe it. Start on the outside, kind of as you're trudging through what I imagine to be like a wooded area that's pretty closed off from the rest of the town, on the outskirts of town. Describe your home. What are you walking up to? And then as you open the door, what do you see?
Yeah, so I would say that kind of walking up to my home, kind of from the road, it's going to be pretty overgrown. Like this is Olympic rainforest, pretty thick. Like you're like not just like walking up a nice path to get to my home. You're like kind of like you're pushing things away. You're kind of getting your clothes dirty. Once you get through that, you're coming into an opening, and it's just going to be a pretty small circular cabin, one room, no bedroom or anything, just kind of a big open space. Again, it's going to be a pretty. It's not like a like a hovel, but this place has definitely not been the best taken care of over the years. Looking inside, you see um, some candles. Really, like this is kind of like a room with one chair, a fireplace, a lot of candles around, um, and yeah, definitely kind of like that 70s, 80s style of cabin that has not been updated in a very long time.
I imagine that this is a place that has been in your family a little bit. And I wonder, like, when, the family was at the height of its power, kind of mid 70s, early 70s, what do you think the cabin was used for? Was it for, like, because it's not really a vacation home, like it was on the outskirts of the town
No.
where they lived? Was it kind of where they sent, maybe like they were like, yeah, you college age person, like this is where you can hang out over the summer and kind of do your own thing? Was it a place where that they kind of just went when they wanted to do more woodsy activities? What was kind of the use of it, do you think?
Yeah, so I would say that this was kind of like definitely more of like a not like the summer cabin because obviously they were a big family, so they kind of had their more like their summer compound. But this was kind of just like a place on the edge of town where like I don't know, maybe this was like a place where the a family member like who was once kind of had like a more of a dream of like being an artist or kind of like something was like I need my own space kind of away from town where I can come kind of have a studio to like do my own thing like and kind of be separate from the family. But of course now that's kind of been reclaimed to kind of be my own home.
Yeah, that makes total sense. The first thing you do when you get inside, it's kind of like now nearing maybe midday after the funeral. You're done with your errands. You start to put stuff away, and you kneel to the wood burning stove to light a fire, as you usually do when it starts to get cold. And as you light that fire, go ahead and roll plus weird for me.
Natural 12.
Wow. Okay. Double sixes. On a complete success, uh, you light a fire in the wood burning stove. Usually it's just like a couple logs and a pretty small flame. You don't need much fuel to keep it warm for you in here. But you kind of strike your fire starter, and it kind of there's a little explosion. It's not like it's not like a bomb or anything went off, but it's like way more fire than you're used to dealing with. And that same face that you noticed as you were skulking back to town last night kind of blinks into view. And it is kind of in the fire. So I almost imagine like there just not being fire where like the two eyes and nose and mouth would be. And it is kind of shaped like you might see in a jack-o'-lantern. So um, it's kind of got this smile that you can't tell if it's like smiling or if it's supposed to be like creepy or like kind of mocking you. You can't really tell. And you kind of just stare at it for a second, shaking your head like this, this can't be real, right? And For the second time in less than 24 hours, you hear a voice coming out of something that a voice shouldn't come out of. And it goes,
I am Cronoa, Clinton. I've come to explain.
I'm just sitting there listening, kind of trying to suss out the situation.
So Clinton himself is not saying anything as the fire is speaking. And you see this voice, you see this face kind of like twist itself from a smile into a bit of a frown, and it goes,
You can hear me, Clinton, can't you?
He says, I can.
nods his head.
I, Clinton, am the tame part. The part that wants to see the worlds I know at peace. Clinton, what you did last night was, well, it's not what the rest of me wanted, Clinton. I'll say that much. You stopped something that, well, the truth is, if it isn't stopped further, it's only going to get worse. Do you know what you stopped, Clinton?
All I heard was a premonition of two teenagers dying, and I know that I had to stop him. But that's all I know.
The bird. The bird, yes. The bird was me, in a way. I sometimes can know things, Clinton, and I can sometimes speak through things, Clinton. It is somewhat hard to explain. I struggle to keep hold of myself. And in fact, I can sometimes turn. I wouldn't trust me all of the time if I were you, and you'll sometimes understand more what that means. Whenever you see me in a fire, things will be all right. But if you encounter me in other ways, do know that I could hurt you. The dues that you must pay are astronomical. I am sorry, but what I can do is help you. I can be a source of information. I can imbue you with the magic of this world and the one connected to it, but I'm afraid there might be consequences. Is that something you're interested in?
I think I take a second and I say, what if I say no?
If you say no, Clinton, you'll die out here a lonely, disgraced, familyless man. Is that what you want?
It's not. What do I have to do for you?
Then let me help you, Clinton. The first thing you must do is, later this evening, perhaps about a similar time that you interrupted the little party that was about to take place, you can head into town, head over to Valentine's Diner. I know it will be after closing, but a couple individuals will be there that I want you to talk to, Clinton. I want you to endear yourself to them. They're already somewhat interested in you for different reasons. One of them's a little weirdo who will love your outsiderness, and the other one's mom knew you. I want you to go there, Clinton, and just have a look at what's going on. I think it's going to be the type of meeting that all of you will feel quite happy to have happened.
I think I'm not like super happy about this right away, but I think I'm kind of quickly starting to be like, I'll give it a shot.
And it's like the kind of thing too that I think maybe you, not in, talking fire type of way, but like have experienced before with some of like your with like like the trauma that you have known in the past, you like sometimes have come up with like voices to talk to you or to like give you purposes in the future. And I wonder, Clinton Brooks, do you think that this is just kind of one of those things where you're almost creating it for yourself, or do you realize that this is different enough from those other times that this could be, something that is actually, in quotes, real?
This feels a bit different to me, but I think like generally I've just acted on these in general, like whether I'm kind of coming up with them or not. So it feels a bit more serious for some reason to me that I don't quite know yet, but I think I'm going to act on it.
We see Leo Lark having just finished up one of the harder days he's ever known, having to say goodbye to his mother, which kind of in turn tore new wounds in his remembrance of Kate. Neither of them, you would say, were people that you were like, you had the closest familial relationship with, but them not being in the world, they were always like two peas in a pod. And so you already somewhat felt outside of their relationship. And now that they're both gone, you feel kind of your connection to that relationship lose the little bit of strength that it may have once had. And you, for one of the first times in your life, even though you are often alone studying birds, you feel like very much physically alone. All you want to do now is like plop down on the couch, like stare at the ceiling until you fall asleep, see if you can face tomorrow. However, when you step out of your beat up Mitsubishi Mirage, what color is your Mirage, by the way? I'm giving you this car.
It's silver, Spartan,
Silver. Love it. You're intercepted by your mother's lawyer, Dick Anderson. Dick's a name that people had in the 90s, I feel like. What do y'all think?
Yeah, there's not a lot of dicks left, but there definitely used to be.
Not a lot of Dicks left. I think
not a lot of like Bobs either.
Not a lot of something I want to kind of be an ongoing bit of levity to this show, as we're already off to a very dark start, is like me just asking the peanut gallery, like, is this something that could have happened in the 90s? Because I'm not sure any of us really know all that well, but it's going to be fun to try to figure out. Okay, so lawyer Dick Anderson. I'm sorry, Leopold. I forgot to drop off one last thing from your mother. She left it with me for you in this envelope. He hands over a sealed yellow parcel. She just told me to give it to you when she died. You know how she was. The old lawyer pauses there in the rain for a moment, letting his suit get soaked. He doesn't seem to mind and is kind of lost in remembrance of Paige Lark, a woman who he has known for the better part of his life. Again, Lark, my condolences. Then he steps back into his car and peels down Granite Lane away from your family home. Lark rushes through the door, tears open the package. Inside, you find an unmarked videotape. After fumbling with the tape, you notice a small pin fall to the ground and clink upon the tile there. What do you do?
When you say pin, do you mean like for sewing, like holding stuff in place? What do you mean?
It's like the kind of pin you would get when you graduate to put on your lapel.
Okay. First, I pick up the pin. Got to keep things tidy.
Pick up the pin. Upon closer inspection, you find the letters HF set into a teal emerald stone that kind of glints in the light that you have turned on since coming through the door. And that's what you see.
Okay. And looking at the tape, I kind of dust it off. Obviously, it hasn't been used in a minute, but still new. And I rummage around looking for anything to play it on.
It's the 90s, baby. You got a VCR right in the living room.
Yeah.
I know, but I just got back into town because the season's starting now. So I haven't been in the apartment for a minute. I don't have much stuff, but for the most part, I like to leave things tidy and put things away because I don't want, just in case someone comes in, So I guess
That makes sense.
I remember where my stuff is, but I have to go get it.
Great. I had you walking into your mom's house because I did a brain fart.
Apologies.
Do you think you were like staying there just since you just got back into town, or is there like a place you rent? We can just retcon and say it's that place if you.
Yeah, I was thinking that I was going back to the place I rent, biannually. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so you kind of rummage around in your storage boxes, maybe pull out a VCR, kind of set it up. Do you think it's one of those like TVs that has a built-in VCR? Because that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, no setup. You just put it right on the floor, pop that VCR in. Your mother appears on screen wearing the clothes she died in, an old nightgown that she liked to put on to get cozy, and the fuzzy black beanie she used to keep herself warm. And from beyond the grave, Paige Lark clears her throat and begins. Hi, Lion. It's good to see you again. Although I suppose it's just a one-way connection. We'll have to make do. It's time I told you something. Something big and scary, I'm afraid. But after all the freaks you've met along your travels that you tell me about, and after a lifetime of putting up with this more than half kooky mother of yours, I know you'll be able to handle it. I'll give it to you plain, honey. This town, our town, has been besieged by a strange threat since before you were born into this world. Since before the cannery was born, even. I know you've always sensed that Moon Fork is different. That inexplicable things have happened here. Hell, you've heard the rumors. The way Janet Klein died, the Brooks family disappearance, all that and more. What I'm telling you is, well, those events were caused by a sort of force. There's an element somewhere in town that connects us to an ancient world of creatures that don't much like interacting with humans. We always called those creatures the uncanny. Honey, you're looking at the last damn person on Earth who was committed to keeping them at bay. Ernest Brooks and I founded that cannery back in the 40s to stave off the uncanny. We fought them, we stopped them from killing townspeople as much as we could, and we formed a group we called the Helmsfolk to serve this worthy cause. So many people were on board, baby. At one point we had nearly half the leaders of the town involved. But as the years went on, our numbers have dwindled, and the Brooks disappearing caused the rest of the people to get scared off. Then it was just me for a while, and now, Leopold, it's just you. I've connected with someone who knows their stuff, someone right here in town who I kept up a correspondence with during the last few years of my life. They're ready to receive you and tell you more. I wish I had answers for you, sweetie, but right now all I have is the enclosed pin and a promise. You will raise some hell in this world, Pumpkin, and I'm not just talking about loons. The person I need you to connect with, their call sign is Mystic Mikey. They run that strange little ham radio shop in town. I've told them all I know and given them the keys to Helmsfolk HQ. I think you two will get along just fine. Loop Sandy in if you need to. You might need to, come to think of it. And keep watching those birds. I love you. The tape cuts and Lark is left in silence. What do you do?
There's a series of emotions I'm feeling. I'm looking at the screen, thinking that I want to ask her something. I'm looking her in the eye, and obviously it's paused, and I recognize after a few seconds that I'm not going to be able to ask any questions. I'm not going to be able to get the answers that I want to from her. But that inquisitive feeling slowly turns into not resentment, but maybe just general anger, because I don't take that at face value at all. I'm wondering, not who poisoned her mind, but just how did I let it get this far? I knew that she had these feelings for a while, but I just kind of brushed them off. And it really feels upsetting to me that the last thing she has to say to me is some of her, rambling bullshit. But then that feeling, the feeling that I have of, it's not superiority maybe, but it's like a sense of like, I know better than you, dissipates a little bit. And I do want to see it through, but it's a really begrudging, really upsetting final goodbye.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, you just had this kind of weird off-kilter conversation with this person lurking at your mother's funeral. And for all you know, like, her getting a ham radio and like communicating anonymously with like this group of weirdos like poisoned her mind all the more, especially as she was like dying and like grasping onto something. And I wonder what kind of, I mean, if that's how you perceive it, you can tell me how you do. Like, I wonder what kind of emotions rise up in you through the fatigue.
It almost makes it worse that they'd been corresponding for months, years, and he didn't even mention her name when he showed up. He's just talking about fucking UFOs.
You from the message understand, and I'm sorry if I didn't do a good job of making this clear. You understand that like since it was a ham radio communication, like she was probably using a call sign too, and for all you know, like Mystic Mikey doesn't know that it was your mom, so it was just kind of a coincidence that he was there. So it's kind of just like this weird situation where like Mystic Mikey was talking to this woman who was like telling him all this stuff about how the town is weird. Yeah. He was loving it and kind of like really digging into the lore of it all. And she was like saying stuff like, I'm going to die soon. Like, I need you to do this for me. Like, mentor my son through this, which I assume Mystic Mikey kind of like ate up. But neither of y'all know that like this is the connection right now. And I think you understand that, Lark, but tell me if you think differently.
No, that makes sense to me. I still, I don't know. I guess I realize the kismet, but I'm still, I'm just shaking my head. Like, how did I meet him right before, I have to actually go meet him? And why is it that my mom, the last thing she says to me is, I got to go hang out with this guy?
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. Do you think that you are going to like try to seek him out this evening, or do you think that that's something that you're waiting for until morning?
I'm not waiting on a sign, but I'm sitting in my apartment. I got a couch, got a table. I set up the VCR. The reason I had to go look for it was because I'm not usually in here necessarily. I'm usually outside. I don't really care too much about technology or know too much about it. But as I'm sitting there, I got some lamps, maybe one picture in the wall, family picture. But the only other decorations I have are decoys, just bird replicas. I got a loon, got a greb, got, some mourning doves. But like I said, like I'm not necessarily supernaturally inclined. But as I'm sitting there in my own thoughts, I feel their eyes on me. I feel them watching me, the decoys, and I have to get up. I can't stay in the room anymore.
So are you heading out toward where your mom told you to meet Mystic Mikey?
Yeah, begrudgingly.
All right, you head on over to Mystic Mikey's ham radio basement. I don't know if you have a better name for it, Mystic Mikey, yourself. But before...
That's my home, dude.
before Lark arrives, Mikey, you are probably heading back down the stairs of your shop. / home / whatever you want to call it. And you kind of hear the older couple upstairs clinking around, maybe with the end of their dinner, putting that away. What's the vibe of this place?
Can I ask a programming question really quick?
Of course.
Would I know what Leo's mom's call sign was? And if so, can I know what that is now?
Yeah, you definitely would, because you were communicating with her. That's something that I don't have written down. So here's a chance for us to come up with it together. But you definitely would have.
Okay.
I almost feel like it should be something not obvious, but like everyone knows that she makes pies or, whatever it is. So I feel like it should be something that he should have known it was her when he was at the funeral today or something.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. It's like,
blueberry something. I don't know.
yeah, let's just go with blueberry.
Yeah.
Her call sign's blueberry.
I like that. And
Cool.
maybe her like most famous pie is the blueberry pie of Valentine's.
Yeah, that works. Great. Cool.
Sweet. So you have just recently had your last communication with Blueberry. Maybe you're potentially expecting another chat with her soon because you're not sure what her status is as far as alive or dead. But what's the vibe of this place you're living? You're kind of walking down the stairs to what I imagine is like a below ground entrance, or maybe just close to that. And it's pouring, rain's falling, and the sun is going down. And you open the door. What's kind of the vibe of your shop house thing?
It's definitely pretty Spartan in there. There's not a lot of decor or anything like that. There's kind of various tools and handbooks and sort of odds and ends for building devices that may or may not work, just kind of scattered kind of haphazardly over the entire place. I mean, it's a basement apartment in Washington, so it's probably a little musty and mildewy down there. Probably smells kind of weird.
Definitely.
And, ultimately this is like a 20-year-old tinkerer who like lives alone in a basement. So, it's not the most well-kept living space in the world.
I think so. The couple that you live with, do you envision your relationship being that of like maybe a tenant who is adversarial to your landlords? Or do you think they see you as kind of like a pet project, like another kid to take care of?
I think Mystic Mikey is actually pretty good with people, and I think they like him. I mean, I think the upstairs neighbors see him as like a little weird, but ultimately harmless, just like a kid who's kind of trying to make his way in the world. And, they're in Moonfork. They've seen weirder stuff happen. This is nothing out of the ordinary for them.
I love it. Let's call them Donna and Brent Livingston. And the Livingstons have left a plate of food, just like some chicken, on your little table that you have there in your Spartan apartment with a Post-it note that says, another late night out, huh? ? Here's some dinner. Brett and, is it Donna that I said? Yes.
Brent and Donna.
Brent, okay. Brent and Donna. And so you are kind of eating your dinner, I imagine, maybe tuning into some of the local channels, and you hear a knock on your door.
Weird America, would you give me this one thing? It's medieval, but it's as modern as something on the radio or the phone you can't put down. Weird America, I'll be seeing you around. Weird America, I'll be seeing you on the swales today.
Soil Day Radio.
For a community of weirdos built on words. Find out more at soildayradio.com.